Summer's almost over, and I don't know where it went. Do y'all feel that way? It just seems like it just left. Okay, and every summer I dread, I think, oh gosh, I've got to go buy a bathing suit. And now it's over, and I barely even wore one. What I've been wearing is my swim dress. Because my life is over. I did a show for a bunch of women, and one of the women came up and she said, you know, you ought to go to Sears and get you a swim dress in the Land's End department. And I thought, should this hurt my feelings? So I did. I went to the Sears in Knoxville, Tennessee. They've still got our Sears open. I don't know if y'all's is open or not in Chattanooga. Okay, ours, you go in, there's not a soul in there. The lights are on. Nobody's shopping. Nobody's working. I mean, I felt creeped out, and I thought, are they running dope out of Sears? So I bought me a Land's End swim dress, and I gotta tell y'all, I'm beautiful in it. Okay. It gathers in right here where my hernia mesh is. And it shows my arms that I still have, because they're my daddy's. Jimmy Fletcher, I've still got his arms. Okay, I've still got my collarbones, praise God. And then it covers up the white flour and the sugar. So I just get a spray tan and I'm good. Well, for years, I was in torment wearing a miracle suit. I don't know if any of y'all have bought a miracle suit before. I know they've got them at y'all's Belk. I know they got them. And there's going to be a big gob of them hanging together, because they have hundreds of them. And I wore one year. I felt so desperate after I couldn't wear a bikini anymore. I wore a lavender one in Hawaii, and my husband and I went, and they took this scuba video of us scuba diving, and I popped that video in from Maui, and I thought, oh, I can't wait, and this like big lavender thing goes by, and I'm like, what is that? I destroyed that video. It's awful. But anyway, so I get this miracle suit. They're at y'all's Belk, and it's got a big sign that says lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes. Miracle suit. You do, because you sweat yourself to death trying to get it on. Because it's got a girdle in it. The girdle's right through here, because it's a one piece. So the girdle's right through here. It smooths you out real pretty through here, because it squeezes your fat out in every other hole. And don't get it wet, because somebody will have to cut it off of you. But I would get it every year because I felt desperate and I didn't know what else to do. Well, my girlfriend, the one with the poop, banked up poop, okay, she wanted one, and her 14-year-old daughter drove to Knoxville to the Dillards and got in the dressing room, and the 14-year-old was in there sacking her mama up in this bathing suit. They both broke out in the sweat over their lip, and the 14-year-old said, ew. Mom. Gross. Let's put it back and get out of here. She said, I can't. I've got to buy it. I just peed in it. Thank y'all so much. My baby child is 20 and lives in Knoxville. Okay, years ago, we wanted all these children to play sports, to keep them off of dope. And so they played all this stuff, all of them did, and my husband's 6'4", I'm 5'8". We breed big kids. So she, in elementary school, was like 5'5", 5'6". She was taller than all the little children and the principal and the teachers, and she hated it. But the good news is she's very athletic, very strong. So all over East Tennessee, people would call me and say, can she be the goalkeeper for our soccer team? I'll get her an iPhone. Yeah. Can she play basketball for us? She never played basketball. And you know, y'all, I lived through her. And I made her do it. And I felt like LeBron James's mama. And so she came to me and she goes, I'm sick of this. I'm not gonna do it anymore. I'm not gonna play all this mess. She goes, I've decided that I wanna cheer. And I said, well, baby, we're big people. And I said, we don't tumble, but I'll figure something out. Well, all over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics, really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off and they ended up putting her on a bad Mama Jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are gonna travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the awfulest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're gonna pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're gonna have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air, flinging little children, broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. Did you see my Spanx? Okay. all my children are yummy, and I'm in love with them, and I love my girls, and I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. Because he is now since married and gone off with his wife and her people. And that's what boys do. They cling to their wife. That's biblical. He said to me, Mom, she is now my immediate family. You are my extended. That's what he said to me right before they got married. And he said, Mom, that's biblical. I'm supposed to cling to my wife. And I thought, why did I show him the Bible? Well, he has always been spiritually mature. We call him our little Billy Graham. My husband and I, we didn't do it. God did it. I'm full of sin. Okay. I've been washed in the blood, but I've been a horrible, horrible person. Not too bad, but okay. So this baby has been just like an old man all of his life. Let me give you an example. He had a little girlfriend in high school, and he would go over to her house and they'd watch movies. And he came home one night and he used to tell me everything. And I said, what y'all been doing? He said, well, we've been watching television and kissing on the couch. And I said, okay, baby, okay. That's all right. That's normal. But I said, you know, before you know it, you've got your hand on somebody's leg, your arm around, and you know, things can get out of control. And I just say, slow it down. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship on a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now, because I could get a new purse out of that. Okay, y'all, have you ever heard of lock-in? I know everybody in here that has been from Chattanooga has probably been raised in church. Okay, I don't know who that little darling, sweet fool was that came up with the lock-in. Probably a little woman in a committee meeting. And she probably said, oh gosh, y'all, let's come up with something for all the hormonal teenagers. Let's gather them up and put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. I've got too much estrogen, which evidently makes you hateful and bitter and angry. And so I sweat all night, just like I've done jazzercise in the bed all night. And I wake up, I've got sweat right here in the back of my head. My head just looks like fuzz in the back. And my husband, okay, so I put it on 67, and he says, I can see my breath. And that's a lie. But he's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage. And we've got 2 beagle hounds that we're in love with because his children are gone. And so we've got a big one, and he takes the big beagle and spoons the big beagle at night. And I've got the little beagle, the little pocket beagle that we rescued, and she's got a nervous tick and eats our furniture and our fabric like a goat. But anyway, they sleep in the bed with us, and the bed is so nasty. Okay, so The little beagle, so he's spooning the big one. The little beagle backs her little butthole up to my head. And sleeps up against me all night. I love her. And in the morning, I can hear my husband when he gets up, he's kissing that big beagle and he's going, and I'm so thankful. The only thing about having them in the bed, really, is I tried those eyelash extensions. I paid a lot of money for those, but beagle hair would end up in them, and it itched real bad, so I had to let them fall out. But anyway. Did y'all have a good Easter? Yay! All right, let me tell y'all, I had everybody at my house, and I was exhausted. And I thought, I don't know if I want to be, I'm the person now because everybody else has gotten too old. And so they said, it's on you now. And so, I like to cook and all that, but it's a lot getting ready and all that ice in the glasses and all that. And my little mother-in-law, Gail, who is darling, who loves to cook, we were talking about our menu, and I said, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I said, let's do a tenderloin. And then we talked about deviled eggs, you know, all that, and Tess, my baby, said, we need to get a ham, maybe a spiraled ham, and Gail went. She goes, this is just my opinion. And we thought, what is she about to talk about? P. Diddy? We were like, she goes, it's just my opinion, but I think a ham that has not been spiraled tastes better. She goes, that's just my opinion. She goes, that's just my opinion. We were like, it's okay, Gail, you can tell us that. I'll never forget the day that I found out about her, and I feel terrible about it now. But I was overwhelmed. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't feel good. I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick, this soon. And you know when you got to know something, you got to know it right then. I had to know right then. I grabbed up my 2 babies and diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you everywhere you go, and I went to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And I bought an EPT pregnancy test, and I took it in the stall at Walmart. And I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me, he said, what, is it positive? And it was. So I drove home just as fast as I could, and I called my husband at work. And I said, you're trying to kill me, aren't you? With a slow vaginal death. Is that what you're trying to? Well, you're not going to. You better get home right now, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me. But let me explain to y'all why I was so torn up. I had a 13-month-old baby girl in diapers and a 3-year-old little boy in Superman panties with doo-doo balls falling out. At the grocery store. I thought, oh my Lord. Did anybody see that? I don't have anything in my purse to pick it up with. Is some little child gonna think it's a milk dud? Let's just keep on moving, everybody. Just keep on moving. But God knew better than I did, because she's been a doll baby, but she's ruined. And I know I'm the one who did it. I was tired and beat down. So, Anybody here who has more than two, you know, good night by that third and fourth one, you got to let them do what they got to do, you know. She still cries over anything. She cries because she knows she gets her way. I said, what's she crying about? She wants your toy? Well, just give it to her. I can't deal with it. It goes from 5 to 18, so the little 5-year-olds come out, and they are yummy, and you could eat their lips off. And they've got little bitty skirts on about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s, and they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front, making every move that their little children are making. Because those little children are babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. They can't remember their act. So they go all the way up until they get to my baby's age, and my baby comes out, reef sharks. And for 2.5 minutes, my baby throws little children up in the air. Broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. And the whole time, it's the most freakishly tiny little people you've ever seen that she's throwing up in the air. Their little mamas are freakish, tiny little people too. I'm from farming country in Middle Tennessee. We grew dark fire tobacco, so I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. I don't know who these people are. I don't know how they birthed a little baby, their little cervix. So these freakishly tiny little children are up on top, and the whole time she's throwing them in the air, they're doing this. And nobody knows why. But this goes on for 2.5 minutes, and then the finale. All the little children hunker down on the stage, and the finale was my baby. They had my baby hop up out of that crowd with a child's foot in her hand. So y'all get what I'm saying. She had a human being up over her head with one arm. And that little girl's doing some kind of something up on top. My baby was a rock star. Thank you. I mean, really, I don't know when's the last, I never held one of my friends up over my head with one foot in my hand. It's a big deal. And the feminine boys went nuts. And they wanted her to stay so bad. They were like, we want you to stay. And she was like, I'm okay. I've got it out of my system. I'm okay. She said, but I'm keeping this whore outfit. She still has it. She says she's going to get married in it. But anyway. Have y'all ever heard of that book, 5 Love Languages? It is wonderful, and it works. It's the real deal. My husband and I went on a Sunday school class retreat when our children were little, and we watched this little frail man talk about it. Okay, and it was on Oprah, so you know it's real. But anyway, What it is there's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language, and they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work and they're at the water fountain and some whore comes in. And feeds their love language. And then they feel a tingle. And then Satan swoops in. Y'all know where I'm going with that? It's a disaster. So, there's 5 love languages. There's quality time. You just can sit and watch ESPN with somebody, you know, which I don't want to, but I mean, you just sit with somebody. Okay, then there's gifts. And you can just give them a card and they feel loved. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Okay, then there's physical touch. And most women in here will go, oh my gosh, that's my husband's. Physical touch. He's on me like a duck on a June bug. But it's not that kind of nasty. I'm talking about, you know, like there's people that just want to hug you and kiss you and squeeze you and they got to hold your hand. That's the physical touch they're talking about. Okay, then there's words of affirmation. That's mine. So all my husband has to say is, Leanne, you are a good mama. Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then my love tank feels full, and then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him. We were at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And when we met, and I was getting my undergraduate degree, it took me a long time because I'm really fun. And he was getting his MBA, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm marrying Hoop-de-Doo. He is so smart, he can reconcile a checkbook. There's no telling where we're going to go, what we're going to see, what kind of life I'm going to have with him. Well, we graduated, and he decided to buy a used mobile home business in Bean Station, Tennessee. Y'all don't know where Bean Station, Tennessee is, do you? Okay, it's at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Have you ever seen Deliverance? If you haven't, I suggest you don't. It'll mess with you. He moved me there, and he wanted me to be in sales for him. So I did that day. Till I saw a family drive up in a Gremlin with the window out and a 9-year-old smoking a cigarette. She lit it off of her Mimo. And so I went home that night and quit that job, and I got pregnant. And I had 3 babies in 4.5 years. Whew, it's right, it hurt. I was pregnant and or breastfeeding for 6 straight years in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And the mountain people would say to me, don't you know what causes that? He came to me in, he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, what y'all been doing? And he said, we've been watching a movie, and we were kissing. I said, oh, that's normal. That's okay. But I said, baby, you know, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You've got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg. You know, things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, you know. Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers. I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. Let me tell you about this baby. We are becoming the best of friends, really, because she's now 21 years old, and she has always been a beauty and so smart and fun and hateful. Okay, so now she not to other people. She holds it in when she's in public so that she can come home and let it out on me. And that's okay, I'm her safe person. And I believe that God allows this when your children get in about, I don't know, junior and senior in high school, because he knows that you're grieving, because they're going to leave. And he knows that you're going to take to the bed over it. So, their junior and senior year, something happens. And they change on you. And they get to be the meanest people you've ever been around. So by the time they're ready to leave, you kick their crap out onto the curb. Her junior year, this started, okay, the very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home. Because she couldn't stand to hear us chew. And I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had a lot on her, like she had to empty the dishwasher. And that's a lot, you know. I'll give y'all an example. Okay, at the University of Tennessee in her sorority, these girls will come home, you know, and I'll cook for them and do, and I'm tickled. All right, well, they like Memphis, Nashville girls. Well, a little girl came home with her and spent 2 nights. So I washed that little thing's clothes, and all I said to this little girl was, Katie, you're so tiny. Your little underwear looks like a slingshot. That little girl thought it was funny, and my baby went. So I got out of there. So when that little girl left, I came back in, I went, what's wrong with me saying that her little panties look like a slingshot? I wish somebody'd say my panties look like a slingshot. My panties look like... Have y'all ever seen Mel Gibson in Braveheart? You know when they pull that big ball out and that thing looks like it's a catapult. They pull that big ball, fling it and kill a bunch of children with it. That's what my panties look like. Do y'all know who owns Victoria's Secret? I used to buy my panties at Victoria's Secret, but they started cutting me in two. Nobody, this doll does not need to worry about me showing you my Spanx. Okay? Because you would, oh thanks, he went. Because you would vomit. My darling. Because I'm 52 and I've lost my bloom. And life has kicked me in the teeth. And I eat sugar and white flour to push down my emotions, to keep from getting hooked on whiskey. Thank y'all so much for coming out tonight. Thank you. I've always loved Chattanooga because my best friend lives here, but also now I have something very special. My 22-year-old baby lives here now in Chattanooga. And she works for Make-A-Wish, East Tennessee. And you may have seen the video that Trish was talking about that's got over 15 million views, and I talk about her being mean. It's just to me. She's just mean to me, not other people. She holds it in so she can spew it out onto me. But she knows she's very sweet and very precious, and she's been backstage with me. But no, I'm not going to show you my Spanx, and you better be thankful I don't have on my Soma panties tonight. But my Spanx is like folding down over my stomach as we speak. I praise God that Weight Watchers doesn't have a limit on how many times you can join. Because I've done Weight Watchers 9 times. And I've lost 7 pounds in all. It's because I don't follow it. And I know it works. I really do. I know it works, but I go more for the comedy at the meetings. I don't know if y'all have ever been to a Weight Watchers meeting, but it is so funny. Okay, but like everybody comes up with recipes. Like the other day, we were there, and a woman goes, okay, if you put a teaspoon of cocoa and an egg white, and put a dollop of water in it and pray over it and put it in the microwave, you've got chocolate cake. And we've all got our iPhone out and trying to film her. And then somebody will get up and they'll go, oh my gosh, y'all, there's fat-free chocolate mint ice cream, but you can only find it at the Harriman Walmart. And people start throwing chairs and like running in a panic. This is what I figured out about myself. Okay, I eat, and I think it's because I'm from sweet country farming people. We value our children and what we've grown to eat and what we've killed. So my people use food for everything. If you're happy, if you're sad, if whatever. I mean, a celebration, woo, okay. And I know I've done that, and I know that I eat emotionally, but I never wanted to ride around in a minivan on dope or alcohol with little children in the car. I didn't want to drink whiskey, so my kids would get to fighting, and my husband would say something hateful like, "What have you done all day?" And that would make me so mad, and I'd eat a hot dog, and I didn't even know what happened. But Weight Watchers has a point system. So say you get like 23 points out of the day, and you got to go within those points, and they'll say, fruits and vegetables are free. You don't want fruits and vegetables. When you first start, you're so hungry that you could eat the wallpaper off the wall. A chicken breast is 3 points. A Snicker bar is 12 points. That's what you want. I've been known to be in the closet turning a lamp on and off, eating a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. So I try to stay within my points. All right, my sister will go on it every time I will, and she lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, and she'll call me and she'll say, it's noon, and I've eaten all my points. He came to me in, he was in middle school or high school, and he's very spiritually mature, has always been. I didn't do it. Their daddy didn't do it. God did it. But we call him our little Billy Graham. But anywho, so he was dating a little girl, and he came home, and I said, what y'all been doing? And he said, we've been watching a movie, and we were kissing. I said, oh, that's normal. That's okay. But I said, baby, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You've got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg. Things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did. Was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship. On a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Youth groups. And we've all, here in the South, we've all been raised in church, Did y'all ever go to a lock-in? What little fool came up with that? Y'all know that it was some precious little woman maybe, and they were like, they were in a committee meeting, and she was like, oh gosh, y'all, we need to come up for something for all the hormonal teenagers. I know. We'll put them in the church building and lock the door and turn the lights out and leave them there all night. Maybe somebody will end up pregnant. So they said, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the Paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they take you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar and white flour. I was drinking coffee 24 hours a day. My teeth got yellow. I had to have those bleached. My husband said, "You are so hateful. Will you please eat a piece of white bread?" But Church of God Becky and I did it, honey. We did it. And I mean, then they took our after picture. It took, 10 weeks later, and I did not lose that much weight. It was like 8 or 9 pounds, but my body turned into somebody else's body, honey. And it was pretty cute. And I leaned out, and I thought, oh, my gosh. And so then they took our after picture, and I made sure I got a spray tan. And I had a really good bra on, and I took that picture. And I'm ashamed to tell y'all, but I won that competition. No, stop. I don't deserve to be applauded. I know y'all are thinking, oh gosh, Leanne, that's wonderful, but what happened? What happened, Leanne? I'll tell you what happened. I did okay for about 3 weeks, and then I spotted a tortilla. That's what happened. Everywhere I go, I ask, do you think it's easier to raise girls or boys? And people say boys. And we love our girls. We love our girls. I'll give y'all an example. I'll be in the pickup line since she's been in kindergarten and now she's in 8th grade. Every day I get to go thank the Lord and pick them up from school. And I'm sitting in my minivan. All right, I'm watching them come out. And they are in a good mood. I saw it. And they're goosing each other and see you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over my minivan. Get in, shut the door. My 8th grader take her backpack, sling it, and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up in the back and she'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama. Mama. What? I'm listening. What is it? One time she said to me, she can say some of the craziest things, that baby can. She said, did Jesus ever have head lice? I said, well, Lord, I don't know, honey, but if he did, I know he healed it. And then they'll be whipping each other in the back seat and squalling and fighting, and I hate you and I wished you were dead. And then my sweet boy would come out. and say something like, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. Just as happy-go-lucky. Years ago, when it first came to Knoxville, I was traveling with Paula Dean, and she had these bodyguards that looked like movie stars, and I said, what do y'all do? And they said, CrossFit. And I said, well, I want to do it. Well, me and my friend, Church of God, Becky, Church of God, Becky and I joined the CrossFit in Knoxville. The CrossFit was run at the time by these little children. They were in their early 20s, and they were beautiful, and they looked like movie stars, and their little fannies looked like baseballs. And I wanted my fanny to look like a baseball. So I made Church of God Becky join, and she'll do whatever I say. So anyway, and I call her Church of God Becky because she was raised Church of God, so sweet, sheltered. Like I have to explain things to her. Things like camel toe. So we first get to the CrossFit. And if y'all don't know what CrossFit is, it's military moves like push-ups, pull-ups, burpees. I hate a burpee. Okay, all these things, they would put like a tractor tire in the parking lot, and they'd set little Becky in it, and I would pull Becky across the parking lot, and she was holding her purse. So I felt like a bad mama jamma, and I was so tickled and into it. And they came to us one day and they go, we want y'all to be in our contest. It's called a Paleo contest. And it's going to be 10 weeks long. The men are going to be against each other and the women, and we're going to take your before and after picture, and whoever's body has changed the most at the end will win 3 months of free training. And I wanted to win that 3 months of free training because I didn't want to have to do something vulgar to my husband for the money. So we're going along, and one day they just pop up and go, okay, it's picture day. We're like, what? And they said, okay, take your top off and leave your exercise bra on and your spandex, your yoga pant, and we're going to take your picture. Well, I didn't want those young boys to not ever want to marry and have children. So I said, Becky and I are going to the back, and I needed to biz my bra so bad. It had no support to it, and it was a gray looking, it was white, but I needed to biz it overnight. I did not know. Anyway, we go back to the office, and I'm going to take Becky's picture, and she's going to take mine. And Becky went. And I said, what are you doing, Becky? Do you want to win this thing? I want to win it. So I took my spandex and shoved it under my stomach and went. That picture is on the internet. All right, I know you boys have been waiting for me to talk about my panties. I know, calm down. You know, I named this the Big Panty Tour. I've done 100 cities. This is winding it down. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. And people ask me all the time, why'd you name this Big Panty Tour? And I tell people, I like big panties. Big panties say to me, freedom. Comfort. I was wearing these tiny panties for years, and they were cutting me in two. I thought, who are these for, little children? I love, boys, are y'all watching? I love a high-cut brief. I love a high-cut brief, and I like it to come over my stomach. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the kind that I wear are called Vanity Fair lingerie. Beyond comfort. Beyond comfort. And they are soft and luxurious, and they don't ride up. They stay out of my crack. I don't want anything in my crack. I know, love them, okay. But I want you boys to know that I've held on to some tiny little hateful panties. And I've kept them in a drawer, and I get those out every once in a while in case some bills need to get paid, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's biblical. There's two things on this earth that make him happy. A clean house and sex. Oh, lucky me. He said, well, if you don't start taking care of my needs, I guess I'm going to have to get a girlfriend. I said, oh, dear Lord, say it's not so. I said, well, make sure that she's stout and that she can mow, because I need some help.